Hey guys, welcome back to Raw Influence, to another episode. This is episode 9. We've got an absolutely exciting guest. But today I am joined by CJ from Sal's Shoes. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Raw Influence.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, perfect. So I suppose let's go and start with what you're up to and a little bit more about how you started Sal's Shoes.
So the abridged version is just under 6 years ago. My son was really lazy boy child, didn't walk till he was almost 2, but not long afterwards I had already accumulated a bag full of his outgrown but not outworn shoes. Kids' feet grow really quickly and kids' shoes are really expensive. So I had a bag full of his shoes and contacted some charities to see if they'd collect them because they had so much wear left in them. And the charities I contacted said, yeah, absolutely, we collect kids' shoes. And I said, fantastic, where do they go? And they said, Asia and Africa and South America. And I said, brilliant, but where will my sons go? And they couldn't tell me, and it didn't rest easy with me. I think charities need to be accountable. I was fortunate enough to have spent my childhood overseas. My dad's a civil engineer, so we moved every 2, 3, 4, 5 years through my childhood. And I just wanted to know where his shoes would go and that another child would receive them for free if I donated them. So I decided to cut out the middleman. And I sent one bag full of his shoes to a friend who was volunteering on the children's oncology ward at a hospital in Zambia. And to be honest, thought no more about it. Good deed done for the year, pat on the back. Until a few weeks later, I happened to receive back some photographs from her saying she'd got the shoes and she'd taken them onto the hospital ward and found them new feet and thought I might like to see some images. And one of the photos was a little boy sitting in a hospital cot, and he was wearing my son Sal's very first pair of shoes, and they had now become his first pair of shoes. And I've got no qualms about saying charity can be quite selfish. Doing good feels good, and that photo made me feel good. It made me want to do more, and I knew it would make many of my friends want to make a difference as well. So social media, for all its flaws, when harnessed for good, can be pretty astounding. And I literally put that photo on my personal Facebook page saying Sal's Shoes have become another's, and was just inundated with messages saying, we've got kids' shoes, we've got a wardrobe full of shoes, how do we get them to you? What organisation was this through? So to cut a long story short, I registered Sal's Shoes. It's a registered charity. We collect pre-loved children's shoes and we find them new feet all over the world. UK child poverty is on the increase. In central London alone, there's, I think it's an estimated 700,000 children just in central London living below the breadline.
Wow.
There are children in this country going to school hungry. There are parents in this country who can't afford to buy their kids shoes.
And it makes such, you don't even think about that, do you, when you're, well, I always say privileged with having shoes ourselves. You don't think or wonder what that would be like without having them as well, of how your day-to-day basis would go and so on and so forth.
We get snow warnings here and everyone rushes off to buy their kids snow boots, which you wear for all of 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the snow melts.
A week or 2, yeah.
And then the snow melts. The next winter, they're not going to fit again. So last year when we distributed winter footwear in the Ukraine, it was minus 15.
Wow.
In some of the orphanages, and the kids were barefoot or in socks. And receiving pretty much brand new, winter snow boots that had been worn for, as you say, a week before the snow gets all sludgy and melts in the UK. One of the reasons I started the charity is because, having grown up in Africa, all too often, for whatever reason, I saw charity labelled items for sale on the black market. And I just remember thinking, I had 100 quid's worth of kids' shoes, and I didn't want another family having to pay for those. I'd already paid for them. I just wanted a child to have protected feet. Yeah. We've had phone calls at Sal's Shoes from people asking to buy thousands of pairs of shoes so that they can ship them out and sell them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it defeats the whole object, doesn't it?
Yeah. If we receive a pair of donated Sal's Shoes with contact details, that person receives an acknowledgement. Because, you see these sort of clothing and shoe donation bins outside supermarkets or, near the recycling, and you drop your clothes or shoes in there, but you don't really know, or I never knew, what happened to them.
Do they actually go anywhere? That's what I want to know.
Who knows? But if an 8-year-old boy here makes a decision to send his South shoes to us and writes us a letter and sends us his contact details, we acknowledge every single donation we get if we have contact details. So that child will get a note back saying, thanks for sending us your shoes. We promise to find them new feet. And we'll also let them know where their shoes have found their new feet. So that might be as specific as, a school in South London, their shoes have gone to a school in Kenya. Or it might be, if you sent us a pair of winter footwear in, November last year, they went to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But we know where every single pair goes.
Yeah. How does South Shoes kind of grow from here? Where does it go? How's the journey get even bigger than this?
It's increasing. There's all sorts of things about shoes, especially kids' shoes, that I never knew about when I started the charity. So, for example, in most countries around the world, there is a state-run education system, as we have in the UK.
Yeah.
So schools are free to access, but school uniform's mandatory.
Yeah.
So if you can't afford a school uniform or a pair of school shoes, you cannot go to school. And there is a direct correlation between poverty and education. Education can be a way out of poverty. So we need these kids in school. So a few years ago, I piloted an idea in the UK that's actually long been practiced in South Africa, in certain more privileged areas, where kids at the end of secondary school sit their final exam, and before they leave the exam hall, they take off their school shoes and they put them on their exam tables. And those shoes are then rounded up and given to less privileged kids in the hope that the following year they can go to school and get a qualification. And so I figured, certainly not all, but most kids in the UK start school in September with a new pair of school shoes. You get a pencil case and a lunchbox and a pair of school shoes. Yeah. So we piloted it with one school that had been a long-term supporter of South Shoes, and they sent a letter home 2 weeks before the end of the summer term. And that one school collected 300 pairs, and by the time they went back into their first assembly in September, they watched footage of their shoes going back into school in Ghana, in rural Africa. They kitted out 3 schools.
Wow.
And social media doing what it does, we put a post about it on the South Shoes Facebook page. And we said, this is what happened, 300 pairs. If you'd like to jump on board next year, drop us an email. And that post went on to be shared over 88,000 times.
Blimey.
Which meant the following year we had over 600 schools across the UK, and we collected over 175,000 pairs of school shoes in 1 month at the end of term. So this year is year 4, I think. And
Did you have to go pick them up?
No. Oh. So we're actually asking people for quite a lot. I believe, and the last 6 years have certainly reaffirmed to me, that the vast majority of us want to do good. We just don't always get around to it because we're busy.
Yeah.
We have businesses, we have companies, we have families, we've got friends, we've got pets that need walking. We're busy people, but give people as direct an opportunity to help as possible. And I think if it's within their capacity, they will. So we're actually asking people for quite a lot. We're asking them to have a route around at home for their kids' outgrown shoes. We're asking them to donate £1 a pair. And we're also asking them to fund delivery to us.
The interesting part is probably without even realising there's a knock-on effect on the education as well of doing that in those 600 schools, because they're then becoming aware of more of what they're doing with their own shoes.
And they all get a certificate saying where their shoes have gone. So, for example, about a month ago, we sent 7,000 pairs to Nicaragua.
Okay.
Half will go into the mountains where the crops failed this year, so the families literally have nothing, and half will go to children living on rubbish dumps, barefoot.
Wow.
But all the kids here that donated will know and hopefully see some images of where their shoes have ended up. At the end of the day, all we're really doing is recycling, so it has to be cost effective. Shoes are actually really difficult to recycle because they're made up of so many different components.
Yeah.
So all we're doing in finding them new feet is just recycling them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, when I was about 2 or 3 years ago, my first major taste in charity on individual things was I funded 150 children to have all of their school uniform and learning materials that they needed for the entire thing. And you just sit and think, it cost me, I think it was about £2,500 to have absolutely everything that they needed. And you sit there and you think, That's crazy that's all it costs in the great scheme of things. 2,500 for 150 kids to be able to go and do that. It's like in the UK, the raising the power of what can be done, especially in third world countries, is just crazy. And is there any government aid on that front that assists with this?
Well, we do have aid and credit for families in need, don't we? But it's difficult. There's, individual cases. We had a social worker contact us in June for a 12-year-old girl. So the social worker was working with a single working mum of 5 kids. And 3 weeks before the end of term, her 12-year-old had wrecked her school shoes. And the mum was thinking, A, I can't really afford to buy a new pair of school shoes. B, she's only going to wear them for 3 weeks, and then she's got a 7-week summer holiday, and by September they're not going to fit anymore. So she sent her 12-year-old into school in her school regulation PE trainers, and her 12-year-old got detention.
Well, what do you
and
do?
Was told she needed to be in school by the following Monday in regulation school shoes.
Yeah. What do you do in that scenario? There's nothing that you can really do, isn't it? So the kid's just getting penalised for not being able to afford a pair.
We have... there's sort of inequality everywhere, and wealth is relative. But, we have kids here, 12-year-old boys, who have like 4 pairs of football boots. They've got their Astro boots, their school boots, their after-school club boots, their muckabout in the park boots.
Yeah.
And, they said they'll donate us 4 pairs in the same size. And we pass those on, and that's 4 players who've received those boots.
Yeah.
It's one child can make an impact on 4 other children.
Is the need for shoes in the UK growing? Is it decreasing?
Growing.
It's growing.
Child poverty levels in the UK are on the increase, which means the need for expensive items, not even expensive items, everyday items.
Is that been something that's just happened continuous, or is it recently? Or
we've definitely seen a marked increase in the last 18 months, 2 years.
Wonderful.
Definitely.
It's not Brexit related, is it?
Not commenting.
Oh, that's mega interesting. I'm such a numbers geek, so I'll probably go away and try and look into that now.
Do some research on child poverty levels in the UK, and you'll be pretty horrified.
Yeah, it's interesting you're saying in the last 18 months. So there's a lot of stuff.
It's always been there.
Yeah.
All the UK charities that are working in the UK that we work with have been doing it for years and years and years. There has always been poverty in the UK. And we have always worked within the UK, but there has definitely been a marked increase, certainly for what we do, which is provide shoes, in the last couple of years.
I just didn't realise it was that bad. If you ever need a place for a collection area, let us know. We're happy to set one up. We have people dropping them off here if you want. It's not an issue for us to help out.
What's your staff parent ratio? Pretty minimal, I would imagine, from your age.
I would say 20. I'm not going to say 20%. I'm going to say about 10 to 15% have kids.
That said, we actually collect shoes of all sizes as long as they're child appropriate. When I started the charity, I said up until the end of primary school, and then people contacted us saying, well, what size is that? And I had to think about it. I'm a size 6. But I have been since I was 11.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I started senior school, I was 5'3" and size 6 feet, and I was one of the tallest in my year. And by the time I'd finished my A-levels, all my friends had grown, and I still was 5'3" and size 6 feet. So I was one of the shortest in the year. But that made me think about it. So now, kids here, there, and everywhere have big feet, and boys can wear men's brogues to school, girls can wear ladies' trainers. So we actually collect all sizes as long as the footwear is practical. Yeah. So we don't, for example, want, high heels or stilettos.
Yeah.
But, trainers and...
That's it. I was sitting there thinking one of my friends who's going to absolutely hate me for saying it. His name's Tom, but he's got, I think, size 14, size 15. We call him Flipper. It's just ridiculous. His feet are so large, and I bet his aren't going to go. They wouldn't be helpful, would they?
So you say that. We had a very large donation of sports footwear from a well-known sports figure in England, who I'm not going to name. who was size 14. And at the time, we were sending 2 consignments out, one to a basketball academy in the Congo and one to a football academy in Kenya. And I contacted them both to say, is size 14 too large? And the football academy in Kenya said they had 22 boys who were size 14 and for love nor money could not buy them shoes.
What?
To which we said, not to worry, they're on their way.
That is incredible. So we're coming to the end of this awesome podcast. How can individuals get involved to help you out?
You can spread the word. You can follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can check out our website. You can get your company to come and do a volunteer day. You can speak to your kids about us. But what I'd really like, if I may say, on a feel-good Friday afternoon is we'd really like monetary donations. It's our only limitation to what I feel we can achieve. We're the only charity doing what we do as we do it. And I think if we had the security of funding, for example, having to cover 30 grand a year rent, if we had that covered for the next 12 months, then we know we've got the security to just go out and concentrate on what we're doing, which is getting shoes in and sending them out without having to worry about fundraising for really what are pretty low overheads for a charity.
Yeah. And so you heard it, guys. That's how we can get involved. So the main way is donating through salshoes.com?
salshoes.com or through the Instagram page on the top. You can donate money by text through PayPal. We've ticked all the boxes to make it as easy as possible.
Exactly, yeah. And let's. Would you like it if we got together and we helped out with getting some shoes together and collecting them out, sending them away?
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
And you may want to bring a little team, Sam, to come to our warehouse and pack shoes.
I'm sure we can sort that out. I'm going to get George involved in this, the next one. Guys, right, we are Raw Influence. Let's see what we're capable of achieving and helping out Sal's Shoes. So, guys, you all know where to reach me and so on and so forth. Let's, I'll tell you what, you all know the address as well at Samuel Co Trading. Start sending your pairs of shoes and trainers and your children's shoes and God knows what.
£1 a pair donation. And a minimum of £1 a pair donation.
Guys, fill those shoes with lots of gold nuggets, and we can put more than £1. We'll put at least £1 in each shoe, surely, guys. So, guys, let's get this movement, taken to the next step and send your worn trainers. If they've got holes in, we don't want to know. We want to send the best ones.
We want no holes in soles. We want you to have given them a quick clean, and we want them to have laces if they need them.
That's amazing.
Think of the person your shoes are going to go to, and how much nicer opening.
Make sure there's some air freshener in there, guys. All right, yeah.
Scrape the mud off the studs of your boots.
Make sure they're nice and clean. So send them to Samuel & Co Trading headquarters office. You know how to get hold of me on social media if you want some assistance. Put at least £1 in each shoe, and I'm sure we'll get some photos of where they've ended up and the people that you've helped out along the way. And let's go pest George as well, see if we can get him involved with this movement. That's this episode over. Thank you so much for joining me. And
you won't be saying that next week when you've just got boxes and boxes of shoes.
I was just sitting there thinking, I'm going to have to put this out on Instagram and YouTube now, and I'm going to sit there and think, Jesus, I'm going to get a lot of boxes sent. Maybe send a few more Quid guys in there, because I'm going to then have to ship it to Surrey. So help me out here. Yeah, put £5 in each one, and I'll give you a free book. There we go. Guys, let's make some children's Christmases, a lot better, and put some happiness into those shoes as well, and help some families out over Christmas. Get them a pair of trainers. I look forward to seeing you guys help me. Also, write a little note in there as well if you want, and we'll give you a shout out on one of the next podcasts. And if there's loads of you, I will sit there and generally read them all out, so I will. I'm
gonna make you sign all the acknowledgements as well.
Yeah.
So the acknowledgements will come from Sal Shoes and Sam.
Okay, I'll make sure I write them all. I'll write them all through. So, guys, you know what to do. This is our podcast over and out, and like I said, George will be back next week. A bit of a giveaway, and a few of the other guests that I was mentioning. Girl power, woman power, however you want to go about it. An incredible 1.7 million people has reached through that individual, and we'll be talking about more what they've been up to, and also a hedge fund billionaire that will be coming on and talking about his experience in the markets. Thank you so much to Yeti Caster and Blue Mics for sponsoring the Raw Influence podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode.